I hate this word so much. Okay, really, I don't hate the word as much as the overbearing concept to just remove everything from your video till it's this hollow shell of a creation. Let me explain. Viewer retention, AVD, whatever. It started getting popular around 2 to 3 years ago when like Mr. Beast and Dream were blowing up. Patty Galloway decided he was going to bless us with knowledge, and YouTube added this funny little chart I hate so much. Why is it so tiny? Suddenly the world decided that this was the answer to becoming an internet celebrity, and to be honest, it kind of is. But we also kind of ran out of things to talk about now because this is really the way. This is everyone's answer. It literally measures how long someone watches a video. If someone clicks off, it was probably not a good part. It's so easy and it's so important. The problem came when people stopped looking at the graph trivially or just left it all behind and started to crank the dial to 300%. When a viewer clicks on a video, there's a reason, and typically they are expecting value out of that video. If the video is how I made the best sandwich ever, they want to see how you made it, and the end result is seeing the final product. The questions they have is, well, what would make this the perfect sandwich? What great lengths would you go through to make this the perfect sandwich? How many times can I say sandwich in a YouTube video? All of these elements are what provide value to the viewer, like little micro bits of dopamine. So when you see a part where you explain the process of why a particular meat is special and you delete it, and just say, okay guys, I found the most special meat ever. Yeah, you're technically making the video more concise, but you're also making it flat as hell. A true video is kind of like a roller coaster. It's structured perfectly so it feels fun all the time. But in reality, there's dips, there's buildups, there's low parts, there's high parts. No one wants to ride on a roller coaster that looks like this. Unfortunately, dozens of YouTubers, especially new ones, are being inclined by certain people to think that the way to make your roller coaster super awesome is to make it as flat as possible. The thing is, AVD is a measure of how good a video is. So let's stop thinking about how one piece may make 0.1% of people click off until you find a structurally sound narrative, because a narrative is overarching and it plays together in various spots. We can go back to the questions viewers have about the sandwich. How do you measure the perfect sandwich is probably the first question I would have when I click on this video. Something you could do is say, there's a national sandwich convention and you are destined to be first place. This, first of all, builds more incentive, and then you can talk about the elements that make the past winners win, like the perfect balance of salt and sweet, and what gourmet sauces they use. A lot of people would hear this and think they need to remove this part, or at least sections of this part. They would say no one cares about what scientifically makes the best sandwich. They just want to see the best sandwich. This is something that I have fallen into. I was working on a tornado channel and I thought, I don't need to explain how a tornado formed, I just need to show the tornado. People clicked for the tornado, not how it formed. When in reality, the viewer clicked on the video for the purpose and wants to be convinced a reason the end result will be worth watching. If you're being unraveled in a narrative, you want to know how that narrative took place. Like with the tornado, you want to know how a tornado became one of the worst tornadoes. You don't want to just click on a video and it's like, oh my god, the tornado killed everybody. You're just not in the narrative. Obviously, you can make that narrative entertaining and you can make it short and concise so people don't click off. But you need to include that. It's integral to the narrative. And while it may sound counterintuitive, when we go back to our overarching narrative, we're building value. YouTube is like a game of convince the viewer to watch your video. You are selling it to them. You're a marketer. You aren't trying to hold them afloat, constantly making sure they don't leave. Well, at least not as much as you're trying to convince them that the narrative should continue to be watched. If you have a good narrative that you're convinced you're going to watch, you don't need to be kept afloat by retention tactics. You just will watch it. If you focus on building a compelling narrative, you don't have to worry about specifics. The narrative will paint it out for you. So yeah, if you're thinking it comes down to the idea, that's kind of the point. It usually just comes down to the idea. But some people have really worthy ideas that they nuke into oblivion with obnoxious cutting and retention tactic. Talking in a super high-pitched voice and making all these little cuts is not going to make your video better. What it's going to do is it's going to remove value from your video. Value that's integral to convincing the viewer that it's worth watching. Anyways, that's all for me rambling. I just thought it'd be worth some value. So go eat a sandwich.